everyone. Happy Tuesday, this gorgeous weather day. It's May the 5th, 2026. This is the regular town council meeting for the town of Southern Shores. If everyone could please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll have a moment of silence now. Thank you. Council, in front of you, you have an agenda. Are there any amendments to, or is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Approve the agenda.
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Thank you. And the consent agenda today is located in your package on pages 3 through 18. It includes budget amendments, surplus resolution, and a 2026 beach monitoring survey proposal. Are there any questions or discussion about the consent agenda today?
I have a question about the beach monitoring.
Okay. Might
I
need
can't
Cliff to-
remember what we talked about a couple months ago. I tried to look back through the minutes. I thought we already made a deal with these guys. Is this additionally to that?
This is an additional, I think
Survey work.
you may be remembering the planning and the permitting,
Yeah.
the cost of acquiring that.
Right.
This is separate. This is the
This is in
yearly.
addition to that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Another $30-some thousand
30, yes, sir.
with a private helicopter.
This is our
Technically, it's a
annual
drone.
survey, so that they have the data they need to do.
Yeah, I
this.
couldn't find it in the minutes. That's why I was looking back. All right, so this is in addition
Yes, sir.
and the other continues. Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. We have an approved consent agenda. Okay, moving on to presentations. I think I'm recognizing Chief Cole. Some of his excellent staff is here with us today. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Mayor, members of council. It is my privilege and honor, and I always look forward to this because we keep trying to get a full house, and we're getting there. We're getting there. Two of our newest and finest officers, I'd like to call them up, Samuel Trays and Shane Obar. Give you a little bit of background on both of them. Samuel apparently just got married this weekend, so congratulations on that
Wow.
as well. He was born in Johnson City, New York, which was not too far from where I was born and raised. He was actually raised in central Pennsylvania. At 17, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. He served his 4 years as administrator and combat marksmanship coach. Prior to completing his service, he met his wife, Caitlin. Following his military career, he pursued a career in law enforcement and ultimately set his sights on the Southern Shores Police Department. He attended the fall of 2025 Basic Law Enforcement Training Academy. These two young gentlemen were two of the ones that we had put through the recruit program. He graduated in March, and he is actually winding down on his FTO and soon to be on solo patrol. Shane Obar, born and raised in Connecticut, moved to Virginia in 2016. He worked in several different fields before settling into law enforcement. He moved to North Carolina in 2023, began his career in law enforcement with the Chesapeake Sheriff's Department in the Corrections Division. He was hired by the Southern Shores Police Department and also attended the same basic law enforcement academy in the fall of 2025. And will be soon graduating from his FTO and beyond solo patrol as well. His mother, Stephanie, and her sister are in the audience. And I would just like to welcome them and congratulate them on a job well done. We're really looking forward to it. Man, when I looked up their date of birth, I went, holy cow. But anyway, I'd like to get a couple of pictures with them. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations and welcome. We're glad to have you.
Good, Sarge? Thanks, guys.
So I think next is David Bradley to introduce the newest and greatest.
Mayor, council, it's my pleasure to introduce you Georgia Anloff, Michael Bowling. These are our two newest employees in Public Works. I'll start with Michael. Michael comes to us from the western part of Virginia. Very adamant that it is not West Virginia, but close enough. He worked for a municipality there for a little while, and then his wife and family moved here about 2018. He worked for the Collington Civic Association or HOA for a while, basically doing the same thing we do here. Great fit. Then we've got Georgia Anloff with us. She's our part-time employee. She grew up just down the road from here, spent her whole life here. She is a weed eating machine. When she goes out, she has to take 3 commercial weed eaters with her because that's how many it takes to keep up with what she does. We're very excited. Interviews are not a fun thing to do for Forrest Hood and myself, but we were very fortunate to find both of these people on the same day. They've been a great fit, great additions to the department.
Welcome. Glad to have you.
Are you from Augusta County? Is he from Augusta County? Oh, that's Western Virginia. That's Western Virginia.
Thanks, David. Next, we'll hear from the first of our staff reports, Deputy Town Manager and Planning Director, Mr. Wes Haskett. Good morning, Wes.
Good morning, Mayor and council members. Brief report for y'all today. With respect to April permits, there were 60 permits issued. They consisted of 8 zoning permits, 24 building permits, 27 trade permits, 1 lot disturbance demolition permit. Total amount of fees collected in April was $21,219.88. With respect to April code enforcement, there was 1 warning citation mailed to a property owner for the accumulation of rubbish and abandoned personal property. And with respect to the planning board, their next regular meeting is scheduled for May 18th at 5 o'clock here in the Pitt Center. And if they do, in fact, meet, they will be considering a ZTA request submitting by the town to amend Town Code Section 132A to amend the town's current requirements for recombining non-conforming lots. If that meeting is going to be held, the notice will be published next week. Any questions?
Thank you, Wes.
All right, thank you.
Chief Cole, you have a, I think, monthly report for us.
Thank you again, Mayor, members of council. April 2026 police report. As you can see, we had 1,421 calls for service. That's about 57 more than we had last year at this time. Some of the breakdowns, the 14 incidents, those are the actual crimes that were reported that totaled for 25 total offenses. And the criminal arrests, we arrested eight people and totaled 16 total charges. 3 of those were drug related, or 9 drug related, as well as drug equipment. And then officers conducted 149 traffic stops for the month of April. And they handed out 11 written citations for a total of 17 charges and another 25 warning citations for a total of 57 charges, total charges. Motor vehicle accidents, reportable ones we had 6 for the month of April. I think, as you already know, and if you don't, we just put out a news release and we're able to finally arrest the individual that was responsible for the hit and run serious injury accident here on Chickahawk and Duck Road. Questions?
Would it be appropriate to tell you how you tracked down that gentleman who was
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Okay.
But I will. I can tell you that it was a lot of good, hard police work. LPRs helped, cameras helped. A lot of things went into play with this. And a lot of due diligence by our officers, to be honest with you. So,
Congrats.
yeah.
Any idea how the victim is doing?
She's back in Texas, to the best of my knowledge, and doing better.
Okay.
But she had some pretty significant injuries.
Okay.
So, yes. I'd like to hand out the annual report. Thank you.
Late night reading.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. That sounds great.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Cole. Appreciate you. Chief Limbacher, our fire chief.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. For the month of April, the fire department responded to a total of 57 calls, and that is 16 behind last year, so a little lagging, 73 for last year this time, but pretty simple breakdown: 4 structure fires, 31 EMS calls, with majority of them being falls and illness, 7 public service, with the majority of those being patient assists, 7 non-emergency, or 6 alarms and 5 canceled en route. And again, 57 calls total for the month. So things will be picking up this month though. So any questions?
Just a little bit of a citizen approached me and said that they were very extremely happy about the EMS service and the fire department service, and they had a medical emergency. And I think that person was going to write you a very nice note coming up. I don't know if you've received it yet, but they were.
Nothing
Said
recent,
the
but
deputy chief, they said, they seem to be so young.
I'll make sure to run that by you.
Yeah, and, but they said they were very talented and they were very empathetic. So I just wanted to pass that kudos along to you.
Always good stuff. I wouldn't, hopefully not expect anything less. So thank you, guys.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that, Rob. It's always good to hear about how good our staff does, especially interacting with folks that live here. Next, we'll hear from our town manager, Cliff Ockburn. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you all. I've put in front of you a ordinance to enact speed limit changes, and which is a request for your concurrence. You have previously talked about the speed limit on NC 12, had made some recommendations and some changes. After that, you discussed it further at your workshop. As a follow-up, the mayor and I met with representatives from NCDOT. We had a very good meeting. The ordinance that's in front of you would change the speed limit. It would be 35 miles an hour to Porpoise Run. From Porpoise Run to 13th Avenue and Sea Oats, it would be 40 miles per hour, to which point it would change back to 35. The The other thing that we talked about was the double yellow, requesting the double yellow line. I think myself and some others were surprised that on NC-12 it isn't already a double yellow. They are still evaluating that. They've committed to continue to evaluate that and analyze whether or not that's something they would do. But so far, no changes have resulted from that. The other discussion we had centered around summer traffic, and they committed the message boards. There's 2 message boards in Upper Currituck, and they committed to trying to use those to send the message, maybe even to relay that it time-wise, you're better to stay on NC-12. So I thought it was a productive meeting, and the takeaway is they are asking you all to approve this resolution, and also they asked that you be willing to consider if anything changes on NC-12, if accidents or conditions or things such as that change, that you reconsider 35 for the entire distance. But that is only if necessary. So I think they were just asking for an open mind. So I think this ordinance accomplishes what we had discussed at your last meeting.
I think everybody is good with it. Do you need a motion, or do you just need us to direct you to sign it for us?
I think I need a motion to authorize town manager to sign the ordinance as presented.
I would like to make a motion that we as a council authorize the town manager to sign the ordinance as presented concerning speed limits on 12.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Thanks, Cliff.
We'll work
Appreciate
with Mary to
And
get
we-
the news out.
We will, they did, during that conversation with them about the no passing zone, they weren't exactly anxious to do that right away. So when we got them to commit to evaluate it, I felt like that was a win. And we will circle back to them and
Yes,
say,
ma'am.
so have you guys evaluated it yet? Because we're not going to leave that one alone.
No,
So,
ma'am, that's right.
okay, thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Philip Hornthal.
Good
Our
morning.
town attorney. Do you have anything for us today?
I do not. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. We have general public comment next. I think at least an individual has signed up for general public comment. And if you haven't done this before, what you do is I call out your name, you come up to the podium, and you tell us your name and where you live, or tell us where you live, because I've already said your name. And then you watch the lights on top of the box, and when the light that flashes red, that means it's time to sit down. Mr. Sean Mulligan. Good morning, sir. Again,
I got 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
So I'm 203 Missing Mass Lane. I've been here since 94. Just basically making a comment about beach nourishment. The last time it was done, it was a straight line from the pier all the way down, I guess, to the duck line. That's nothing what the beach looks like. We had nothing but a shore break until this year. We finally have the sandbars. I finally might be able to get some surfing in, which I did yesterday, and some sea mullet fishing. So a lot of people probably don't do that around here, but that's the reason I moved here in 94. So all I'm asking on the beach nourishment, instead of just doing a straight linear line, which is what people do, all you got to do is look at everything in here. It's all linear. You get an airplane, water doesn't work that way. The beach looks like it should look right now. If you walk down there at low tide, you can see it. There's points, there's cuts, there's holes, and that's why the fishing's good, why the surfing's good, and it's also good for the swimmers. Because when it's just a drop off and a shore break, little kids can't get in that. They're going to get knocked down. So that's, I'm not thrilled with beach nourishment, but I'd like to at least see it done in a way to where, maybe both sides get a win. All right, because the way it was last time was a total loss for me. I had to go all the way down to Pea Island to get waves. And that's a long drive. All right? So, and I'm willing to pay a little bit extra, have it done that way. I don't see why they can't do a little bit of this and that. And what's the $35,000 helicopter? What's that about? You said something about a $35,000?
Oh, it's not, this is not an opportunity for a question and answer. If you want to speak to
Okay.
us
I
after
would
the
say
meeting,
this,
we'll-
if you're going to monitor the beach and you want to get good pictures of it, you can certainly do it by drone. And I have a good friend of mine that he's retired now, and I'm sure I could get him to do it very cheap. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I'll see you at the next meeting for the next topic.
thanks, Mr. Mulligan. Appreciate you being here today. Anyone else who didn't sign up for public comment who now would like to? No one. Okay, moving on. Next on our agenda is new business. We're going to hear about the town manager's proposed recommended budget for FY 26-27.
Thank you. There's only one part of this I'm going to read. The rest I'll kind of walk through with a few slides, but presented for your consideration is the town manager's.
You're done.
Oops.
You're done. Quick budget.
Presented
Sheila
for
and
your.
I set that up ahead of time. I just wanted you to know.
Okay, presented for your consideration is the town manager's recommended budget for fiscal year July 1, 2026 through June 30, 2027, which has been prepared in accordance with the North Carolina Local Government Fiscal Control Act as required by the North Carolina General Statute, Chapter 159-11. So that's the part I feel like is that official, it's general statute, and that's the only part I'll read. But as she's pulling that up, I did want to say that I appreciate the department heads and the work that they put into this. Appreciate Bonnie Swain as finance officer and the commitment it takes from her, the commitment it takes from Sheila to get these things done. It's quite a feat.
Still circling.
It's a Windows computer.
There we go.
So while it's thinking, I'll tell you that this year's general fund budget totals $12,981,790, which is an increase of $1,185,018, or a 10% increase, 10.04% increase from the current fiscal year adopted budget. The recommended budget is balanced with $537,000 of fund balance and $950,000 from the capital reserve fund for streets. And when you combine those two items, the 537 with the 950,000, it's equivalent to a 5-cent tax increase. However, no new tax increases recommended in this year's budget, next year's budget for the general fund or for the beach nourishment funding. And this shows you the, after the $537,007 from fund balances deducted, there'd still be $2,185,671 in fund balance. And the 950,000 removed from the street capital reserve would leave $43,000 for future projects. At the top here, you'll see the ad valorem taxes dating back to fiscal year 2021. 1 cent in ad valorem tax this year generates $288,515,000. Ad valorem revenue for FY27 is recommended at $5,870,904, which is an increase of just over 4%. Next, ad valorem taxes, the occupancy, sales, and land transfer they make up about 95, the two combined make up about 95% of our revenue. There is, for occupancy tax revenue, we're recommending 2.12 increase over last year. But it represents a almost 7.5% decrease over the actual funding received in 23-24. Sales tax revenue recommended at 1.7%. This is just barely over 0.1, I mean, it's 0.13 over FY 23-24. So you can see that tacking on land transfer, it increased by almost 2% over last year, but decreased by 6.5% over 23 and 24. So all three of those are trending in the wrong direction from a manager's perspective. This shows you that gap. The ad valorem taxes are the blue bar, the occupancy, sales, and land transfer combined as the orange bar. And you can see dating back to actual 2021, they were almost even. But as we're project this out linearly, the gap between the revenue we generate from ad valorem taxes and the revenue we generate from sales, occupancy, and land transfer is starting to widen. And this just shows that same graph in a different form. You'll see, or that same information in a different form. The blue is the ad valorem tax, and the orange is occupancy, sales, and land transfer. Let me come back to that, I'm sorry. Recommended revenues decreased by $34,000 or just over or less than 0.5%. This is due mainly to, we got a influx of money when we took over the Southern Shores Volunteer Fire Department. They brought us some money for this current budget year. That money will not be brought forth for next year. So that's mainly that decrease. You can see the recommended revenues, as I pointed out, when you combine the two major ones, it's I think 85% of our revenue comes from those two sources. The rest are from restricted, unrestricted, small amount from permit and fees, and then other revenues. So this is the departmental budgets. It starts with ocean rescue and works its way to the right up to streets, bridges, and canals. It shows each graph, it starts with the actual funding in 2021 and then works up to what we're recommending. And you can see a trend in the increase. There are things along the way that I could point out that can change these graphs pretty dramatically. The purple one, and the purple at the far right for streets, bridges, that was the Juniper Bridge project. So that jumps that way up there. But if we separate the departmental line items, which are admin, planning, code enforcement, police, fire, and public works administration, infrastructure, it's $368,143 over the amended budget, not the adopted, but the amended. And for contracted services, which is now ocean rescue and sanitation services, it's almost flat. It's $23,000 above the current year amended budget. Expenditures, this will show you where the money goes. And I think this is probably a mirror image of most municipalities on the Outer Banks. You can see public safeties combined is a big portion of this. And then it works its way down. Let me go back. One other thing I wanted to point out was these two graphs, the one on the left shows you what solid waste. The orange is the tipping fee. It's how much we pay per ton to dispose of solid waste. And you can see the rise in that. You can also see the tonnage is also rising. So the cost of collection and the tonnage that we're collecting are both rising. To the right, you'll see recycling and the cost as the tonnage we're collecting for recycling goes down, the rate is going up. And so this really stood out to me as it went, of course, years ago, recycling was astronomical. And then we were recycling at a rate where it was almost cheaper for us to recycle than it was for solid waste. But this we're going in the wrong direction. It just tells me that we've got to do a better job of getting the word out about how it saves the town money. And then finally, just to let you know, the recommended budget will be posted on the town's website and available for inspection at Town Hall or contacting Sheila Kane. I need to ask you to set a public hearing for June 2nd at 10 o'clock for folks to comment on the budget. I know we just handed you this, so I know you'll have questions as you look it over.
How do you make the ad valorem tax go up?
Sorry?
How do we make the ad valorem revenue go up?
Well, it's
New house.
it's not a popular answer. It's not a popular question. The one thing to note, though, is to just watch the General Assembly and what the reform they're considering and the amendment they're considering putting on the ballot in November for constitutional taxes, which would cap how much a municipality. And, going back, this budget year was the first time since 2012 since the town raised taxes. And the difference between 2012 and today, according to Bureau of Labor and Statistics, $1 million in 2012 is now $1,430,000. So I think it's quite remarkable that the town's been able to go that long without a tax increase. And at this point, we're kind of catching up. And as I point out, ad valorem taxes are starting to account for more revenue, which there's about $3,600 that the tourism saves on the tax bill. And so if that goes away, then it just increases the ad valorem tax. And as I pointed out, if this budget without capital reserve and without fund balance would have required another tax increase. And that I do foresee right now, we're planning for a tax increase.
What's the minimum fund balance we have to maintain?
3,500,
35.
3.5 million. Yes,
How much?
3.5 million,
I didn't hear, I'm sorry.
3.5 million.
Okay.
Yeah, and that, the amount I showed you is in excess of that 3.5. So whenever the just over 2 million we'll have if you approve this budget, that's in addition to the
That's over
3.5.
the percentage we
Yes,
have to
sir.
have,
Yes, sir.
which will run out someday if we keep using it.
It's not how you balance
Yeah, okay.
a budget.
Because occupancy is flat. If you look at our taxes on all that, I mean, that's flat. And that trend will probably continue.
That's right.
Okay, all right.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions for Cliff right now? Probably need to have some time to
Yeah, digest it.
digest, and, which is what we usually do, so it's nothing new. So do you need a motion to set the public hearing for the budget on at our next meeting, June 2nd, or
June 2nd, June 2nd.
June 2nd? Motion is required? So moved? Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed, say no. Okay. So, folks, if you have questions or concerns or comments, you know where we live, you know our phone numbers. Let us know what you think about the budget between now and June 2nd. Or come June 2nd, let us know when everyone is here together. All right. Thank you, Cliff. Next on our agenda is public hearings for ZTA 2026-01. Council, it's on page 19 in your books. And I am now handing this over to our attorney, Philip Hornthal, to conduct said public hearing.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I now open public hearing to consider ZTA 2026-01, a zoning text amendment application submitted by Dan Osmond to amend Town Code Section 36-202D4 and 36-202D5 to establish a 10-foot side yard setback requirement and a 20-foot rear yard setback requirement for pool equipment, pool sheds, accessory structures up to 150 square feet, and mechanical equipment, HVAC, in the RS-1 zoning district. At this time, I'll call for Mr. Hassett.
Thank you, Mr. Hornthal. Good morning again, Mayor and council members. This item is ZTA-2026-01. The applicant is Daniel S. Osman. And the applicant is requesting to amend Town Code Sections 36-202D4 and 202D5 to establish a 10-foot minimum side yard setback requirement and a 20-foot minimum rear yard setback requirement for pool equipment, pool sheds, accessory structures up to 150 square feet, and mechanical equipment, HVAC, in the RS1 district. Town Code Sections 36-202D4 and 202D5 currently establish a 15-foot minimum side yard setback requirement and a 25-foot minimum rear yard setback requirement. The proposed amendments would allow pool equipment, pool sheds, accessory structures up to 150 square feet, and mechanical equipment, HVAC, to be at least 10 feet from side property lines and 20 feet from rear property lines, instead of at least 15 feet from side property lines and 25 feet from rear property lines in the RS1 zoning district. The applicant submitted this application after learning that a recently constructed pool cabana, which he obtained permits for as a general contractor, does not meet the current 25-foot rear yard setback requirement. Town staff's recommendation is that we have determined that the proposed amendments are consistent with the town's currently adopted comprehensive land use plan, and town staff recommends approval of the application with some amended language. And that would be in D4, it would read, notwithstanding the above, for pool equipment, accessory structures up to 144 square feet, and mechanical equipment, HVAC, the minimum side yard setback requirement shall be 10 feet. Same language for D5, which would be the 20-foot rear setback requirement, but it would also only apply to pool equipment, accessory structures up to 144 square feet, and mechanical equipment, HVAC. The planning board, they considered this application at the April 2026 planning board meeting, and they recommended approval also with amended language. Their language to 36-202D4 would state, notwithstanding the above, for platforms for pool mechanical equipment and mechanical equipment HVAC, the minimum side yard setback requirement shall be 10 feet. The same for D5, which would be the 20-foot rear setback requirement. So in their recommendation, they are recommending only platforms for pool mechanical equipment and mechanical equipment HVAC to have a reduced side setback of 10 feet and reduced rear setback of 20 feet. One of the most common concerns that we town staff hear from property owners and contractors is the fact that we do not have different setback requirements for HVAC equipment, pool equipment, and sheds that are 12 by 12 or less in size. It's not uncommon to see reduced setback requirements for such structures in other jurisdictions. The planning board is not in favor of including accessory structures in the proposed language, just pool equipment and mechanical equipment HVAC. The applicant's language includes pool sheds and accessory structures up to 150 square feet. But there is no definition of pool shed, and we believe that 144 square feet works better due to the common 12 by 12 inquiry, and because greater than 12 by 12 triggers the requirement of a building permit and a zoning permit. So after closing the public hearing on this ZTA this morning, you all will have the following options, and there are 5. 1, you can adopt the language as written or proposed by the applicant. 2, you could adopt town staff's recommended language. 3, you could adopt the planning board's recommended language. 4, you could table your decision. And 5, you could revise the proposed language and come up with your own language, but that may have to go back to the planning board if you all do that. That concludes the staff report and comments that I have. Planning board chairperson Ward, I saw he's here. I'm sure he will have some comments as well, and he can comment further on the planning board's action that they took at the April 20th meeting. That's all I have, Mr. Hornthal.
We've got two folks that have signed up to speak. First person is Mark Martin. Please come up to the podium.
Mark Martin, 191 Wax Myrtle Trail. I own Sandmark Custom Homes with my wife, and we live in town. Just on Wax Myrtle there, the section just south of East Dogwood that's in bad need of repair or repaving. So just wanted to get that out in case you didn't know where 191 was. Just wanted to speak in favor of the ordinance. Glad Mr. Haskett gave us 5 options to consider here after this is all over with. Just kind of go back in history a little bit. When the setback was 10 feet, we never really had to worry about where the heat pumps went. You could put the heat pumps in the side yard and it was never an issue. So most of the times that's where you put your heat pump because you didn't want it at the front of the house and you certainly didn't want it at the back of the house where your pool, or at that time you didn't even have pools going on in town really. But it's just, you didn't want it by your patio where you're going to be sitting outside all the time. So that's the reason it went into the side yard setbacks. Over the years, what we've seen, especially when we changed to 15 foot, we never really, I don't think, enforced the 15-foot dimension off the side yard for heat pumps as well. I think there's still quite a few in town at one point. This is probably before Wes, that were still in the side yard setback. So we've got these nonconformities building up. We just, about 3 years ago, ran into a situation, house is designed, we're permitting last stages to come to the town to get the zoning permit. And since we're oceanfront, can't fill up to allow a lower level enclosure. So we've got a couple feet that we're below base flood. Our heat pump stand was going to be 36 inches high. It didn't meet the flood ordinance. I had to move the heat pump stand underneath the front deck, screen it all off just because I couldn't have it this high. So plans done, site plans done, down to the last stage of the permitting. So that was the issue. And that was the only means that we had to remedy the situation. So Mark's also hearing a lot of folks now that they're moving in full time. I need to get the lawnmower, the gas cans out of my garage. I don't want that stuff stored here. I would like to put it in a storage shed out back. And how close can I go to the property line? You know, can I go 5 feet, 10 feet, put it on the property line? What are my options? So that's one of the things that's creating a problem too, because we're pushing all of that stuff kind of to the middle of the lot. Now you're starting to lose your sight lines back to open space. There's a lot of open space back behind a lot of houses. So if you could put it on the corner, maybe your neighbor puts it on a corner, it really frees up a lot of those sight lines and kind of brings the outdoors in. The one thing that I did notice that's not in here is generators. We're starting to get a bigger call for generators now. Typically, that's going to go where the meter comes in on the side yard setback. So, you know, if we just kind of set this 10 foot and include those generators, I mean, we're always doing screening around it to try to knock the noise down for the neighbors and stuff. So I think that would help as well. And it was one other thing, but it's escaping me right now that I wanted to bring up for consideration, but I think that's enough. Thank you.
Next person signed up is Jay Meth.
Hello. I live at 37 Duckwoods Drive. My family and I moved into the neighborhood 16 years ago to start our family. And over the 16 years, we've renovated our home and done some additions and grown. And now that our parents are starting to get older, I'm also a builder. I run Mancuso Development. We mostly develop on the northern beaches. So as a personal level, though, I've been looking at our home to do an addition for our parents to come and spend time with us, possibly retire with us. I'd like to put in a pool and an accessory building in my backyard. And I can't do that under the current ordinances without tearing all of my trees down, ripping out my shed, and spending $40,000 for a new septic system to meet the current setbacks. So I think that this change in this ordinance will help a lot of people, not just builders, but everyday residents who would like to do additions to their home and not be limited by some of these setbacks and constraints that are going to cause a lot of undue expense on our part. You know, for us to do the addition and put a pool in, it's a huge expense for our family. And to think that I have to spend another $40,000 or more to move my septic system and tear all my trees down to make this work, when a simple change in the ordinance would fix that. So I just ask that y'all approve it, and that's all I have for today.
Is there anyone else here who did not sign up who would like to speak? We come to the podium and give them your name and address, sir.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. My name's Bill Seidler. I live at 128 Duckwoods Drive. I'm not a builder. I'm just a homeowner. But in the process of trying to reclaim my garage again, I'm looking to build a structure to begin moving lawnmowers, gas cans, wheelbarrows, things that have collected over the years into a structure. My ask is more towards the aesthetic, the sightline. I currently have trees in the rear of my property bordering my neighbor's yard, large trees, evergreens. And in the past year, one was leaning precariously, had it removed. As I look for a shed, it would have been a perfect location for it, but unfortunately, again, sits back in that setback. For me to push it out to the 15-foot line, not only blocks the sight line down to the water, but it also puts it in a unique, weird location for the backyard. From a property value perspective, line of sight perspective, if I could simply push it back to 5 feet, makes all the difference in keeping that open, keeping the aesthetic of the property. And not that I would ever want to sell my property, but even a resale value perspective. I think if you go down the canals and you look at the backyards of properties, you see beautiful properties, well-maintained yards, but all of a sudden you see a shed almost feeling like it's dropped in the middle. It just seems odd. So any consideration you would have to maintain a small structure in the back, be able to put it within that 10-foot would be highly appreciated. So thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Yes, sir. Come to the podium.
Mr. Hornthal, Sheila, members of council. This is Andy Ward up here, chairman of the Southern Shores Planning Board. Wasn't sure if I was going to make it here or not today. Had a little dental surgery yesterday. Feeling some discomfort, but I'm going to get it out. I sent you all a note. I hope you all got it prior to this, but just in case, I would like to read what the intent is in section 36202, single-family residential zone. The intent in the ordinance begins with the RS1 district is established to provide for low-density development of single-family detached dwellings in an environment which preserves sand dunes, coastal forests, wetlands, and other unique features of the coastal area. The district is intended to promote stable, permanent neighborhoods characterized by low vehicular traffic flows, abundant open space, and low impact of development on the natural environment and adjacent land uses. In order to meet this intent, the density of population in the district is managed by establishment of minimum lot sizes, building setbacks and height limits, parking regulations, maximum occupancy limits for single-family residential uses. This intent that I just read has been consistently endorsed over the years by a vast majority of our residents as well as our seasonal visitors. To vary from this vision of our town would run counter to the wishes and desires of its residents and visitors alike. At our April 20th Planning Board meeting, ZTA 2026-01 was brought forward by Mr. Dan Osmond as a possible solution to an unfortunate situation conflicting with our current rear yard setback regulations. This minor encroachment of a pool cabana, which he constructed, was noted on the as-built survey required for the final certificate of occupancy on his project. The planning board felt strongly that current regulations for side and rear setbacks have served our town quite well for many years. We concurred that a minor unfortunate error on a single individual property does not merit a town-wide ordinance change that would accommodate pool sheds and accessory structures up to 150 square feet within the long-established side and rear setbacks. However, we were in favor of allowing the proposed changes in setbacks concerning platforms for both HVAC and pool mechanical equipment. In summary, the planning board voted unanimously 5-0 to delete pool sheds and accessory structures up to 150 square feet from the ZTA and to allow platforms for both HVAC and pool mechanical equipment in the side and rear setbacks as written by the applicant in ZTA 2026. That is our recommendation to Town Council today. Lastly, as to Mr. Osmond's situation, the planning board felt a variance might be a more appropriate possibility for him to explore. Thank you. Any questions? Thanks.
Anyone else like to speak? Yes, sir. Come forward. Please state your name and your address.
Thank you. Duke Garrity, Government Affairs Director for the Outer Banks Home Builders Association. I didn't plan on speaking today, but in 2000, when this ordinance was changed, I was very involved in the work. Mr. Martin also. We spent a lot of time in this room going over the new ordinance, the new setbacks. The setbacks that were changed was in regard to Pine Island, was just getting built. And a lot of people were afraid when they come around the bend, when you went into Currituck County, the houses were right on the street and they were these big houses. That was the beginning of the big house issue. Swimming pools weren't popular then. It became popular after, and almost every house now has a swimming pool. The setback, they used the guys that it would be better fire protection. They could get ladders between the house if we went 15 feet. I want to remind you that when Southern Shores was built, when it was incorporated, the setback was 10 feet on each side and 20 feet in the rear. It was under Dare County jurisdiction. So the fear of big houses coming in and mixing in with the residential neighborhoods of large rental homes was the reason that they wanted to move it back and make it so that big houses couldn't be done. Now that people use their backyard space, they put sheds in, they put swimming pools in. The cost of houses, I remember when the lots in Southern Shores were $30,000. Now it's $200,000. It's not unheard of. And the people want to put a swimming pool and they want to put a shed back there. Most of the other jurisdictions have sheds that go right up until 5 foot of the property lines. That seems to be the rule of thumb. Nobody's ever talked about that. Last month, the town of Kitty Hawk said that pool decks now can go right to the property line. They just changed their ordinance too, just so that people could use their backyards a little more and get a little more use out of it. All right, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? At this point, I close the public hearing.
Thank you, Philip. Council, anybody have any questions for either staff or anyone?
I've got questions for Wes.
Okay.
How are you doing today, Wes?
Doing well. Yes, sir. Good morning.
This is a fairly familiar subject for me, just operating as a builder within town, setbacks and compliance and whatnot. And I just wanted to clarify for the rest of everybody on the council and the audience, a couple things related to setbacks and what's already been available to the setback and what's not. And for a couple of things I wanted to run through. Can I build a patio within the setback?
Yes, sir. If it's less than 30 inches above the ground.
Is there any limitation to the lot line for that patio?
Is there what?
Is there any limitation to the lot line for that patio?
So less than 30 inches, i.e. 29.9 inches or less, it can go up to the property line. But we tell folks if they do take a patio up to the property line, you have to consider potential stormwater impacts on the adjacent property.
And same would occur to a grade level deck,
Decks as well, yes, sir.
so that can go to the lot line.
Yes, sir. If it's less, 29.9 inches or less,
And a fire pit that's below 30 inches could be in the setback.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
With no limitation.
Yes, sir.
Can a driveway go to the lot line
Yes, sir.
and parking space?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I construct a retaining wall within the setback?
Yes, sir. Pool fences and retaining walls can go up to the property line, provided they do not exceed 6 feet in height.
Can I construct a greenhouse within the setback?
Not unless it's unless it's less than 30 inches above grade, so most likely not.
And I can't put a shed in the setback?
No, sir.
Okay. So all these other things we can put in the setback, but we can't put these accessory structures in. So how big is our setback? We have 15 feet on either side?
So in the RS1 zoning district, which is the majority of the town, it's 15 feet on the side from the side property lines, 25 feet on the front and rear. If it's a corner lot, you add 5 feet to that side.
Okay. And then the front and back is 25.
Correct. Or if it's on the water, like a canal, it's a CAMA setback that is more strict and it's 30 feet.
And most of our lots are 100 by 200, correct?
The majority, I would say yes.
In that.
Close to that,
general
yeah.
footprint.
Yeah, close to that, yes, sir.
So the amount of setback that we have is 11,000 square feet out of a 20,000 square foot lot, which is essentially 55% of the lot area. That's what we reserve within our ordinance for open area. If this would pass with staff's recommendation, 144 square feet, that would reduce that open area to 10,856 feet. So there's a fair amount of open area still available. How many citizens' complaints do you have for sheds or structures within the setback?
Complaints?
Yes,
You mean over the years or currently or?
just in general, ad hoc.
So the most recent ones that come to mind, and I reported to you all about, there were two, but there was one in the, they were both on Sea Oaks Trail and they were both actually in the front setback.
They're in the front setback.
There haven't been any recently in the side or rear that come to mind, but not that come to mind.
How many citizen complaints do you receive for not being able to place these things within the setback?
As stated in my comments earlier, it's a common concern that folks cannot place a 12 by 12 or less shed or pool equipment or HVAC equipment in a setback,
So to follow on that,
side or rear setback, excuse me.
would you elaborate on your recommendation to adopt staff's amended language, given your interaction with our citizens, or you see this as a positive thing potentially for the request that you get as the planning department head?
As town staff, yes, sir, that's what we are recommending. We are recommending up to 144 square feet because of the 12 by 12. It's a common inquiry. Folks will say, it is a common question. Folks will call and say, I have a shed I want to put on my backyard, 10 by 12. Does it require a building permit? We were told it does not. It does not require a building permit if it's less than 12 by 12 or less, but it does still require a zoning permit regardless of the size, and it has to meet the setback requirements and has to meet lot coverage requirements. If it's greater than 12 by 12, then it still requires a zoning permit, but also you have to have a building permit. So it seems like a popular or a common thought is that 12 by 12 is, there's a difference there. Yeah. So we're recommending that kind of going with what the applicant proposed, but we feel 150 is a little higher, but 144 we were comfortable with.
So picking up on some of the other comments, I know this has been limited to pool equipment in terms of the equipment servicing the building. Pool equipment, HVAC, generators, I think was something was that ever considered in discussion with the planning board?
Well, the applicant that was not in his language initially. I don't recall it coming up from staff in discussion with the applicant. And I wouldn't say that this would include generators as proposed or recommended by the planning board or recommended by staff. And it wasn't recommended from the planning board either, generators.
And then I was thinking other items that might need to be there because of power service, like solar controllers and whatnot. We had a solar assembly Would that be an accessory structure that is not allowed in the setback?
A solar,
A ground mount solar array?
if it's above 30 inches, I would say yes, it has to meet the setback requirements.
Okay.
30 inches or more. And that 30-inch requirement, that's in the definition of yard or setback. And it states anything 30 inches or above, with some exceptions like fences and walls, has to meet the setback requirement.
If this amendment were adopted, what are potential negative impacts?
Potential negative impacts. The planning board, a couple of things that they brought up was noise. If somebody puts a shed and they're working in there, it's that much closer, up to 5 feet closer on a side property line. There was concern about the noise that would, whether they're using equipment and working, or if they wanted to run power to a shed, if the electrical permit was obtained and it's inspected, someone could put it, there was discussion at the planning board meeting about if somebody mounted a TV on the side of the shed and, they're watching a football game or whatever, and it's 5 feet closer to the property line. So that would be another concern. That was something that was brought up at the planning board meeting. Folks may want to put a light on a shed. Somebody could potentially an adjoining property owner could be concerned about a light. But we do have a noise ordinance in place, and we have a lighting ordinance in place.
Yeah. And there's nothing prohibiting putting a light on a pole within the setback currently, is there?
No, sir.
I didn't think. So the primary was noise and maybe just overall impact to the open area?
I couldn't hear you.
Was the primary concern noise and overall impact to the open area of the lot?
At the planning board meeting, what I recall, concerns were about noise and folks just being that much closer with the structure aesthetics.
Okay.
Yes, sir, as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Were you able to grab a picture to show us of, I don't think anybody needs to know what an HVAC compressor looks like, but just for people who are not used to looking at pool equipment. And so just generally speaking, that's what we're talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And again, that has to meet your flood regulations. It has to meet the noise ordinance. Generally, I don't think anybody puts a light on those things. But I thank you for grabbing that so that we all know what we're talking about. The text amendment is being brought to us because of an error that was made, is my understanding. Would you have brought this, would we be discussing this text amendment if it wasn't for said error?
I think so. I think at some point, whether staff brought it forward or someone else, I think it would have come up at some point,
Okay.
honestly, because it is legitimately a common concern.
Okay. Are there, does it make sense that we need to perhaps have, we often do this, perhaps have, like we did with the speed limit on C12, we took a moment and we, gathered, comments, concerns, had conversations with people in town about, as it relates to whatever it is we're talking about. Is it possible, if we did decide to table this and bring it up at the next meeting, for example, generators are not, do we need to address other accessories in addition to what you guys have addressed?
I think that language could be adjusted without altering the intent of the applicant's amendment.
So if we added generators, does that amount to a significant?
Most likely.
Most likely.
It will probably have to go back to the planning board. That's just my opinion. I'm not sure the town attorney could weigh in on it, but.
I would say so.
Best guess is it would.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I just had to replace the generator. It has to be 10 feet from the house. So if we have a 10-foot side, we'll go on the side of the house. If we go to a 10-foot, it has to be 10 feet away from the house. So it's sitting as a monument in the backyard. That's fine. Okay, I'm not gonna argue about it because the power went out 3 weeks ago. We had power. So, but I couldn't see that. We'd have to address that somehow if we threw that in there because if we went to 10 foot,
Some of that's
there's no room. You
manufactured.
can't go to the lot line with it 10 feet out. So anyway, I'm with you. I'd like to hear more because I read this and then I saw both recommendations in our pre-work. I'm going, which one's which? City's on one side, planning board's on another side. But both with good comments and well-meaning, I think.
Right.
So if we could.
Also, I've learned recently, there's such a thing as an administrative variance.
I was going to
Would you want to talk about it?
potentially discuss that after the hearing.
After the hearing.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Anyway, so I'm done. Did you want to have, just you or Rob have any questions, comments further?
I think there was some good points brought up with the public testimony, and I don't know if everything is kind of covered in this ordinance, and we may want to table it for a little while simply to address some of the concerns that were brought up by some of the building folks, planning folks, and some of the discussion here.
Is that the consensus from you three?
I don't have a strong either way. If you want to try to push this over.
I think my concern is that there's 4 and not 5 of us, to be honest with you. But
Yeah, that's-
Concerns what again?
there's 4 and
We-
not 5
we all have our
of us
fifth
present.
member, yeah.
Yeah,
And this is a pretty significant
this is a big
change.
change.
You know, since I've been doing the planning board gig and this gig, you know, we've had some full stop things, you know, building height, full stop.
Which we adjusted.
Lot coverage, full stop. Then we've done some stuff with occupancy because we wanted to address density and size. Anyway, there are certain things about our community that we have held in dearness and sacredness. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is happy. And I hear what you all are saying. So I'm not dismissing that. I'm just wondering if we need to take a little time, have all 5 of us here, and get some more input from the public.
I have a potential solution,
Okay. I love it when you have a potential solution.
but it would begin with a motion to table the
Okay.
current ZTA for consideration.
All right. So there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Rob is seconding it. Any other discussion, questions at this time? All those in favor of tabling as motioned by Mayor Pro Tem Matt Neal, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We're going to table this one.
So then I have 2 corollaries to that.
Okay.
One of which would be addressing administrative variances. The town of Duck and the town of Nags Head have a mechanism for staff approval of small variations like the applicant has experienced in his construction. And I think that I would like to make a motion to direct town staff to draft an amendment or a town code amendment to allow that administrative approval process to be introduced to our town code.
And I would second that. And what that would do is it sets limits. In other words, it can't be arbitrary. And that's what Duck and Nags Head, did you say? have?
Yeah. Nags Head's a little bit more involved than Ducks. Ducks is more of a form to fill out.
I believe what I was told is that there's a number of remedies. The applicant could have looked into purchasing property to meet his 8 inches that he needed. I'm rounding up, 8 inches that he needed to meet the setback requirements. He could have shaved 8 inches off of his structure. There were some other ones, Wes, I'm not remembering. Anyway, the administrative remedy or administrative variance would add one more to the list of potential remedies. I'm just overall not comfortable with doing ordinance changes based on somebody's 8-inch error. We know he didn't do it on purpose. He didn't try to hide anything. You know, all of those things. He did everything the way he was supposed to do it. I just think that at this point, it's time to look at it a little bit more holistically.
So
So
does administrative
So
mean,
he-
does
With my
administrative mean
motion.
that the city has the right to do that?
So it would go to the planning
Somebody-
director. Yeah.
Okay.
So if an error is made that's like within, help me out, Matt, like.
I mean, we could say up to 6 inches or up to a foot or.
Whatever.
10% is what the language that Duck uses.
So-
What, do you want to weigh?
Yeah, I saw it as a percentage, just the
Yeah.
one I've seen.
That's fine.
Just one question. So you all tabling the current ZTA request, are you all looking to consider that at your next meeting? Or are you do you prefer to consider that after staff has drafted a new ZTA and it's going through the planning board?
I was getting
And then
there.
that comes, okay, I'm sorry, okay.
He had a number 2.
So that motion is on the floor. We haven't had a second yet, so I don't know if there's still.
Mayor second.
Oh, okay,
No,
I'm sorry.
Rob seconded.
No, you did.
You did. You did. You seconded.
Oh,
You said, he seconded the table.
Previous.
Yeah.
Oh, the previous one.
But
So,
go
so
ahead.
directing staff is the second motion. I seconded it. Any further discussion?
Yeah, administrative, is it just for the setbacks that we're talking about? Is it for anything that goes on?
I would leave it,
Anything that goes on in the building arena that goes on here, is that what administrative, I mean, would it?
well, I mean,
have that
it's
broad
certainly,
reach?
certainly, there's things that you can't, like you can't do 10% of a bedroom, for
If you're
instance.
30 feet, 1 inch over the height requirement, does that go into the
I
administrative?
had considered that, and what I was thinking for Wes's perspective is let's let him tell us what kind of issues that he runs into that might be pretty negative for a homeowner or a builder, and see what kind of leeway he thinks that the office should have. And then when it goes through planning board, they will be able to weigh in, and then we'll be able to weigh in on how much leash we would like to
Yeah,
give.
because I think that also works into the land plan, land use plan. I mean, we
Well,
have
that's
to
why there's
renew every
limits.
couple of years.
Yeah.
That's why there's limits.
That's why there's limits.
It puts a lot of pressure also on the staff. Anyway, you want to know more. That's what.
To be honest, initially, I think what shows up, there's things he can't be flexible on. Flood elevations. You build it too low, you build it too low.
Right.
Height, sometimes, that's at the risk of the builder, although we've had a couple
Coverage.
issues with that. Coverage, I think, that's
I
an
mean,
easier
there's a
to
whole
remedy
potpourri of
situation, so.
Stuff out there, yeah.
But I would be okay with it was restricted to setbacks at this moment, but I would leave it to our planning director to see what tools he might request.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so we have a
I guess we have to
motion.
look at that.
Apparently I seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no.
And then
That motion is carried. Okay, and then one more.
the corollary to this is, and it goes into Wes's question about the table of the existing zoning text amendment. If we're separating, correcting the error in the field to looking at our potential setback requirements, I think I would like to make a motion to also direct town staff to draft an accompanying ZTA or a companion ZTA to their best recommendations that does encapsulate generators, all equipment servicing a building, and then also the 144 square foot.
I don't know if I know enough to comment.
It's not adopting it, it's just.
You want him to draw just any equipment that would be accessory equipment and or sheds.
Well,
I thought that's what we're doing with the first one here.
it is,
That's
but
administrative, would that be, or just, you're talking about changing the ZTA for?
no, they draft a ZTA that goes to planning board.
All right,
That regardless of the applicant's ZTA, it just has from Wes's perspective, the things that would benefit.
addresses everything possible we can think.
Yeah, because I'll tell you the story in other towns, like they did make the allowance for HVAC equipment very narrowly, and they never did it for pool equipment. So then we have HVAC stands over here, and we're shoving the pool equipment in the, and then you have to go back and correct it later. I think it would be better to do in one fell swoop, all equipment servicing the building.
Yes, we're relying on the
Why not?
expertise of the staff
Right, that's what
and,
we're.
and the interaction with our local builders to, and homeowners to come up with their best recommendation.
Okay,
Planning board.
And the
And the
planning,
planning
board.
board.
And the planning board. Correct.
okay.
All right, so-
I'll go for it.
Is that a second?
Yeah, second.
So that's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. So, Wes, are you clear? Yes, ma'am. Because we can make it muddy sometimes. But, okay. I think that's done with the ZTA discussion. The next is on page 28 of your book, chapter 32, utilities. Wes, you're going to help us out with this one as well.
Hello again, Mayor, council members. This is a town code amendment request from town staff. The proposed amendments are to Town Code Chapter 32, which addresses utilities. One of the main goals is to make Chapter 32 utilities consistent with the North Carolina general statutes with respect to the approval of wastewater systems. Either the county health department or the state of North Carolina, NCDEQ, has the statutory authority to regulate and approve permits specifically for wastewater systems. Some of the language that you see in the TCA in your packets is new. Some of it is carried forward as existing language, and some of it is deleted. If this TCA is adopted as is presented, the town would still have the authority to monitor the existing wastewater treatment plant and enforce violations, but the town would no longer issue wastewater permits because that falls under the jurisdiction of the county or the state. The current $5,000 penalty for violations is carried forward in the language, and so that would still apply. And the planning board would still be able to review proposed wastewater systems and connections during the site plan approval process, as you would as well. So we recommend approval of these amendments. The town planning board considered these amendments at their April 20th meeting, and they recommended it 5-0. The town engineer is in attendance as well, so he can answer some questions if you all have some questions with respect to the wastewater amendments, if I cannot answer them. Any questions?
There's only one wastewater treatment plant that I know of in town.
There's one existing private wastewater treatment plant in the
That's
town.
it. There's no other wastewater treatment plants in town.
That is the only plant, yes, sir.
Plant, okay.
Yes, sir.
Has nothing to do with commercial.
That does do, it's
Includes
the
commercial?
Southern Shores Landing is a planned unit development, and that's a commercial zoning district.
Okay.
And then the adjacent vacant property is also commercial. We had an application a couple of years ago to tie into the existing
Right.
wastewater treatment plant.
So I remember that. So
Yeah.
all that's still intact. We're still current.
That wastewater treatment plant is,
We're still issue the permit, or the state would issue the permit for them.
so we would not be issuing a wastewater permit. The state of North Carolina, they are the ones that regulate
Right.
that wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
We still have the ability to request, if we choose, reports. We can monitor if we choose to do so. But ultimately, the authority falls under the umbrella of the state
Okay.
with respect to that plant.
Can I cut to the chase?
Sure.
Basically, the ordinance would be such that the town would not have to take over a failing wastewater treatment facility, that it would either be the county or state's problem, and they would have to remedy the situation.
Yes, sir, that's correct. I'm going to let Mr. Randolph answer that part, though. He can elaborate much more than I can.
Good morning. So the question was, this alleviates your obligation to take over the plant. You never really had that obligation to take over the plant. If the plant that was referenced earlier fell into a position of not being operated properly, and it goes through several steps. There's something called special order by consent, and then emergency management, where the state gets involved in a delinquent operator who's not operating the plant properly. They assign an operator, and the money that's generated from the billing revenue goes into that operation process. So that was, and still, I believe, still the status of that plant that was referenced before. There are other treatment facilities in the town that may not be configured in a steel chamber like a traditional plant, but there are other advanced treatment systems in the town. I believe the next to Steamers is a BioClear system. The Southern Shores Marketplace has an Easy Treat system. They are advanced treatment systems. They're not confined to one set of vessels, but they're spread out in underground tanks and treatment vessels. So there's more than just the GeneGite or GWWTP LLC wastewater treatment plant at Southern Shores Landing.
Are those then pumped? Those vessels you just talked about, are they pumped regularly then, or?
They're maintained according to a maintenance schedule.
Okay,
So some of them don't require the
Oh.
pumping. Your normal septic tank at your home would be every 3 to 5 years would be the recommended pumping
yeah,
regime. These are advanced treatment, so they recycle wastewater to get different treatment. Treatment happens through the recycling of the wastewater without getting in the weeds about the treatment process. And so
okay,
not all tanks are pumped equally.
all right. But I just, from my understanding, that's, yeah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions for me? Thank you.
We're good? Any further discussion, questions, council? Is there a motion to approve, TCA 26-01?
I'll make a motion to approve TCA 2601 as presented by town staff.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carries. Just want to say thank you to staff and planning board for achieving this improvement in our town code. It's a good thing for the town, I promise. Next on our agenda is council business. Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to go first?
Yes, the only thing I have I have two small things to report. We had a fairly successful presentation. I think it was successful at the Southern Shore Civic Association for the boat club in relation to the entry corridor committee. It's pretty lively back and forth with that group and got some really valuable feedback. Our next corridor committee meeting date is May 13th at 9 a.m. in this room. So short and sweet, as I know you need to be somewhere.
Thank you, Matt. Rob?
The 8250 fair, that's the anniversary of the 250th signing of the Declaration, was held in Manio. Quite successful, a lot of activity in downtown Manio, as well as over at Festival Park, attended by, thousands of people. And for those who want to see what's on the rest of the agenda for the celebration on the 4th of July and before, you can go to 8250s, just search on it, and Dare County, and then you'll see all the activities, including, a passport for kids and adults and whatever else. Very much supported by the county. Also, the Door Saver program, I've been trying to promote it a little bit, and fire chief and police chief were stars of that video that we put out, and it's now up on the town's website as well as on the Facebook page.
Thanks, Rob.
Mayor, I have one other question for Wes.
Okay.
As we're doing council comments. Did you get a clear answer on what to do with the tabled motion? I mean, the table ZTA? Okay. I would also let the applicant, if he would like it to come up at the next meeting, he can request it.
Mark?
Real quickly, tour board met, and the concern we have right now is fuel prices and getting visitors to come here and spend money. So nobody knows where it is. Everybody complaining about the price of fuel. It's an all-time high. Don't know where it's going to go in the summertime, but we live off those revenues that are generated by the folks that come and visit us. So we're cautiously optimistic. I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Mark. Just reminding everyone, our next council meeting is Tuesday, June the 2nd at 10 a.m. And is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, staff, folks that were here, folks that weren't here. Well, after I run to somewhere else,